What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Game Time Discussions. I'm Emory Cousin here with Cameron Selby, and we are going to be going over the Green Bay Packers and Washington Commanders game. Actually, we have to recap. What happened last night.
A lot of showdowns, a lot of craziness.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, firstly, Sunday. Oh, man. So I had Buffalo, Cam had Baltimore, and that...
I was not confident.
No one should have been confident. As you could tell by the end of the game, now the game went in general 1-point game. That game was amazing. Josh Allen, there's a reason that he is the MVP and deservingly just does things that I don't know anybody else that can do stuff like that right now.
It was a true Superman-esque performance and really overcoming just that defense. And for the most part, for about 3.5 quarters, I think the Ravens scored on their first 8 possessions. If I remember correctly. And it took 3 possessions in the final 5 minutes for them to come back and win. But yeah, it was just the perfect way to start a season. And I would not be shocked if we see these two teams for the 4th time in span of 18 months or whatever come January.
And also, then you have last night's game, because we recorded these on Tuesdays, and you have a game where you have Chicago go up and just look dominant in the first half, and then Minnesota look dominant in the second half. And two completely different halves, basically. Minnesota just looked like they came out slow, weren't ready for game 1, basically, of the season, and then all of a sudden, JJ started to pick it up, and then the other JJ, both JJs, started to pick it up and found a way to win the game. And game was, I never felt like Minnesota was supposed to win it, ever. And then all of a sudden it was like,
metric had them as a 4.2% chance at some point at the early start of the 4th. And then they scored 3 touchdowns in the final 3 possessions. And Chicago does a lot of, interesting things, get out of their own way. And then just all of a sudden there's first game with Ben Johnson. There's a massive coaching error situation at the very end of the game. Where he allows a 2-point conversion to just go, and he says it wasn't executed correctly, but it doesn't matter. You should have taken the ball out of the player's hands to ensure that you had that, but that's neither here nor there. The DFS wise, it was a complete tale of two halves from both games, because the first game, at least for me, with the Baltimore Buffalo game, had no shot. Fading Derrick Henry was a massive mistake, and then and Josh Allen ended up being Superman. Keon Coleman catching ricochet touchdowns, going for 7 catches in the final quarter of the game.
Awesome.
And end up cashing pretty well on the Showdown. Whereas last night, I go on the other route, going a 4-2 Chicago build, and it looks great, 3x in through 3 quarters, and then not cashing at all because I had no JJ.
Yeah.
And that was very disheartening because it felt so good. The pick 6 made me nervous when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Chicago wasn't high owned in terms of defense, but it was just tough. And then, did not finish strong for me. Aaron Jones not doing anything all game and catching a low route for touchdown. I'm really, really upset because he was chalky as hell, and it was a great
game. And he wasn't doing well at all.
Wasn't doing well. Got out-snapped, out-carried by Jordan Mason. I was right, and it ended up being the wrong decision.
Still being wrong. Yeah. That always sucks, right?
Yeah.
And then you got, for me, I actually played Josh Allen at captain in all 3 of my lineups. And I was like, no, this is the guy that I want tonight. I think he finds a way. Well, look, I never expected that. Obviously, 41 points and just went crazy. But I did make some lines where I had all 3 with, but didn't have Zay. Zay was the one that hurt me. Zay hurt me because I've always enjoyed Zay, but I just think he's in a terrible offense for his skill set and it just doesn't work out. But he found a way to go out there and make some things happen, and that really hurt me. But I had all 3: Derrick Henry, Josh Allen.
It wasn't possible going the 3-person route, and also
you couldn't go to that.
It wasn't possible unless you were going to go 2 minimum price players, which because of the side, it probably worked out. But if you do that 9 times out of 10, that is not going to work out in your favor. But that's neither here nor there. We're on to week 2. Let's break down this showdown. That should be very, very fun between the Commanders and the Packers. It is a 48-point total. 3.5 favored for the Packers, who might have been the most impressive team on Sunday overall to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Beating the Detroit Lions like they did. Of course, me and you believe that they were going to have a little bit of regression because of the fact that their coaching changes and everything. And that really, it wasn't even the players. It's just the coaches coming in and out. But I didn't expect Green Bay to look so good. And so when we talk about this slate, we're going to start with Washington, of course, but it's going to be, is Green Bay really as dominant as they looked? Starting off, though, let's talk about the pass catchers for the Washington side of the ball. You have Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Zach Ertz as the main three guys that are going to probably catch like 85% of the passes. And then you have some dart throws in Noah Brown and Jalen Lane. Both guys were on the field playing and will be most likely, getting some snaps. Jalen Lane was a guy that is a rookie and a guy that made some splash plays on special teams during the preseason, and then he is getting his opportunities. I don't have his snap counts in front of me.
Yeah, I actually do. So Jalen Lane, like you said, had the third most in terms of wide receivers, had 30%. Chris Moore, who we didn't really know going into the year, right behind him at 27%. Luke McCaffrey just kind of kicking the rear, going in for 5 rogue snaps. Probably was at the very end of the game when it was out of hand. But the most part, it's just the Deebo show, the Terry show. Deebo looked really, really good in his first game back. I thought there would be a little bit of rust from Terry and Jaden because of not getting a full preseason. There was a go ball touchdown that was way overshot that could have really blown the doors off, and it didn't work out. So the tough thing is just both of them being the prices they are. You really have to make some decisions. I don't really know how to get both of them in a line without you sacrificing a lot of Green Bay up top, which is very nerve wracking. But if you're a Washington believer, I think that might be the route to go this week.
Yeah, you're going to see my line and be like, what? You're picking that team and that's what your lineup looks like. But it is what it is. It's just kind of how it built sometimes. Let's talk about this running game because it's just an interesting thing that's going on here. Let me put this in flex. You have JCM. There it is. Austin Eckler. And I guess we'll add both Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez. Chris Rodriguez was the healthy scraps last week.
Yeah, that was a surprise Sunday morning on the live stream. If you guys were hanging out with us, you would know that that kind of made it kind of interesting because we were back and forth all week between Bill Krosky being minimum price on whether or not that would be a thing. His reactionary over-under prop for his rushing yards went from 4th to 1st, back to 4th on the team because of the pessimism. And then the morning of that news comes out and that he was the biggest winner of that because we knew Austin Eckler was going to get his 50% snaps and get his PPR stats. But who was going to get the change of pace stuff? But first, it was Jeremy McNichols that came out. And JCN wasn't really doing a ton. He did salvage with the touchdown. And then at the very end of the game, had a very, very long run to help ice the game. So he's a sexy name because he was one of the best performing rookie running backs on the week. 82 rushing yards and a touchdown, no passing catching upside, at least thus far. But because of that touchdown, because of the buzz on him, he might be a little over rostered based on his snap count, which he was just about 33%.
Yeah, not exactly what I expected snap count wise. I thought he would be higher, but at the same time, like you give Austin Eckler 47% of it, and it's like kind of hard to find percentages for everybody else.
You also don't know how much it would be if they were playing from behind because this is a game where they're underdogs 3.5. So say they're trailing by a touchdown or by maybe 2 possessions throughout the duration of the second half. How much of an impact does he truly have versus Austin Eckler, who is the less popular name, cheaper? I mean, they're right next to each other. I'd probably side with the latter instead of the rookie this week if you're going to go with that game script.
I want to add one more thing. They both got 2 attempts in the red zone. So each of them getting 2 attempts in the red zone. You think Austin Eckler is the pass catcher and he's getting opportunities in the red zone.
And I did watch like their 1-2 minute drill that they did run, and Austin Eckler basically was in the entire time. He did get a catch to set them up to score right before the half. And then they had the debacle of the throwing it, intentional grounding without timeouts and then going to halftime. But either way, that's an important role for Austin to have. So if he's getting exact or equal amount of goal line / red zone opportunities and has that role, I just feel a little better about that on a PPR format.
Absolutely. Let's go over to the other side of the game. Actually, let me add Jaden real quick. Jaden Daniels, absolutely has to be talked about. He's probably going to be one of the staples on the slate. He'll probably be 90+% because he has rushing upside, he has throwing upside, and his floor is probably around 20 points. As you can see, he had 20.12 last week, and that was on 63% passing, 1 touchdown, but then you get 68 yards on the ground. So you have to kind of think about him as one of the main plays, of course, as on the slate.
Yeah, with him, if you don't anticipate him not being involved on at least 2 touchdowns, whether that's running or receiving or I'm sorry, running and throwing, I mean, maybe he can receive 2. Who knows? We'll have to see some trick plays from Cliff. But either way, if he's involved on 2 touchdowns, he's going to be a 20-point floor week in, week out. That's why he was one of the most high priority fantasy quarterbacks to be drafted through our basketball season and, during the summer. But this is a high total. So not only are they dogs that really appeals to, this style of quarterback, but it would be, I believe, the second highest total overall if it was on the Sunday slate. So you have to build with the intention that he's going to score multiple times. And if that's the case, you just got to bite the bullet and take him. The tough thing is just going to be stacking him. How are you going to go in that direction? And we'll get into that because it is kind of uncomfortable in terms of confident players because of both teams and how spread out they are in terms of opportunities, especially on the Green Bay side. So you're not going to feel great about your lines, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't play because sometimes those lines come out of nowhere and cash for you anyways. And the other confident ones can be great, and then all of a sudden they're not because of randomness.
Yeah, so let's go talk about the other side of the game, which is, okay, Green Bay for, 5 years has been question marks on their receiving game. You start off up top with Jaden Reed, got Matthew Golden, $1,800 cheaper. Then you go Tucker Kraft down here, Romeo Dobbs, and Wicks, Savion Williams, like Luke Musgrave caught a ball. Like, there's just a lot of mouths. Just kind of going over all these guys. Like, we are not confident in any of them. So paying the premiums on some of these guys is going to make me more uncomfortable. I'd rather just kind of get to the lower guys. If you are going to play a Jordan Love, like getting 2 of these guys and feeling confident you're just not going to, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I just don't know what to say. I mean, you're throwing darts every single time you play Green Bay stack and double stack on it. That's why I wasn't a huge advocate of doing that in basketball season because I've been bit by that before with Jaden Reed. And look, he caught the touchdown this week, and he still was 4th on the team in snaps, and he's also injured, and he's the most expensive. So it's how do you have confidence in that? But at the same time, because of that price and because everybody knows that, he's going to be like 25% owned. So if he catches the touchdown again, there's a good chance he can get there for you. So I think a lot of these guys, there's not a lot of floor baked in with any of them. And really, it's just, sprinkling it around on these kinds of contests. You got to play 1 or 2. And especially on this slate, when you got 3 guys up top, we'll get into some of the dominant earlier. But I mean, Jaden Daniels 11K. So if you're building around that really is slim pickings, and you're going to fall into some of these options.
Yeah. And going on to the totals for snap counts, Romeo Dobbs get 97% of the snaps. I mean, that's where you start because he has the highest amount of snaps and he's really cheap.
Not only that, he also had the highest amount of air yards.
Yeah.
He only had, I believe,
2 receptions.
Yeah. 4 targets, 68 yards, but 92 air yards. So he's a guy that's kind of also been a boomer bust player before. And we've seen time and time again where, hey, this guy had a 2 touchdown game and then complete 1 catch for little yards the following week. Last year, Donte Wicks was the darling. Jaden Reed before has been a guy that was a 2 touchdown guy. The very next week in a game that they score 48 points, he has 0 for 0 for 0. So I'm telling you, it nothing feels good about it. But it is worth noting Tucker Kraft catching a touchdown also last week. He was a hot commodity in the best ball season as well. Like I said, caught a touchdown last week. Didn't have a ton of targets. They were playing from ahead by 3 scores towards the end, so that has a lot to do with it. But 100% of the snaps, it is his role to lose, and he's one of the safer options. I'm actually shocked that he was this cheap.
Yeah, and I want to add to this the people that actually got touches in the red zone. Romeo Dobbs got 2 targets. Jaden Reed got a target, and Savion Williams. So if you want to take a dart throw and you're doing something crazy, Savion Williams is $900 or something. $1,000, I apologize. And then Tucker Kraft got his touchdown in the red zone. So those are all guys worth talking about for the red zone because that is not Matthew Golden, and that is not
Matthew Golden was the guy that was supposed to be the sexy name, changing his number. He's already in 2 receiver sets, so he's already passed Jaden Reed, and then he debuts and has 2 targets, catches for 16 yards. Nothing exciting, especially if you draft him in the 7th round like you had to. But because of that dead performance, 6,400 modest price, this could be a week where he just has a
he could score the
separation.
He could be the one that scores the touchdown. You can pick him.
Couldn't tell you about the popularity, but the way DFS works typically is if you had a good game last week, you're probably more popular.
Yeah,
following week, and that's why it's just like, hey, buy the dip, buy the low on certain guys that have bad games, but then following week have really good matchups. And Washington coming into the year as a bottom 3 secondary. Obviously, the Giants couldn't take advantage because of how bad they played offensively, but that doesn't mean that has drastically improved the outlook and how you can attack them week in and week out.
Sure. Let's talk about Josh Jacobs, and I'm going to add Mr. Chris Brooks in. He actually had the most snaps after Josh Jacobs. Emmanuel Wilson was only had 2. Chris Brooks had 9, and then Josh Jacobs actually played 100% of the snaps. He had a full load. I don't think they're trying to take him out of the game. Marshawn Lloyd's out on IR, so I think it's Josh Jacobs' backfield. He's basically my the favorite play on the slate probably, and if he's scored a touchdown in 14 games or something.
It was pretty incredible last year.
14 touchdowns in 10 games. I thought.
You're good. But yeah, I mean, he's just kind of as safe as it gets. He's suddenly becoming a touchdown a week kind of guy. He has 20 opportunities. Sometimes, depending on the game script, has pass catching opportunities and upside as well. But yeah, like there's no one else that you can confidently say is going to have the workload that you expect, unless Green Bay just completely shits the bed early. They're down 14-0 after 5 minutes, and then they have to play catch up, because that is the only way really I see that him really dipping in.
Yeah,
without an injury.
Right, exactly. So let's do it. Let's talk about our game script and stuff. I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, so with mine, I actually don't like this total. I really like the under on this. I just think that Green Bay's defense was absolutely swarming, and Washington kind of came out a little rusty last week. So it's not like they didn't dominate a division foe or anything of that nature, but offensively, you didn't see the 30-point, spring that you saw towards the end of last season. And Green Bay, like I said, was one of the most impressive teams. And on a short week at home, I expect the defense to still be, lights out. And I don't really expect this to be any kind of shootout. So I pick Green Bay to win 24-17. Don't feel confident about really any player, anything other than I expect this to be a lower scoring game than what the second highest total on the weekend. I think that was a little bit the biggest thing that stood out to me regarding this game.
Gotcha. Well, I actually have it a little higher. I have it 31-24, basically both teams catching an extra touchdown on mine. Green Bay, like you said, looked great in week 1. Their defense was awesome. I think this is a game where they get the ground game going because they have a lot of question marks at receiver, except for maybe Tucker Kraft right now. And Josh Jacobs, like I said, had 14 touchdowns in 10 games, and Washington has one of the lowest run defenses, according to coming into the year by PFF. So I'd rather attack the passing options on. I think I'd rather go with the passing options on Washington and the run game on Green Bay, and just try to get some of those, the Jaden Daniels, the Josh Jacobs, and then
I'm completely on board with you on that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like we both have it as a touchdown game. You just think there'll be a little bit more offense. So we'll see. I know you said you might have some crazy lines, but it sounds like we could be falling into the similar players and guys based on. But it's not like we feel great about it. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you shouldn't play, because I don't know where lines fit still work.
I don't know if I don't feel great about it. I just feel like if I'm picking Green Bay, my line is going to be a little bit lopsided versus that, if that makes sense. Having more Washington players in Green Bay quick.
I mean, it would have worked last night or
absolutely,
the night before. So it just kind of depends on the game script. So if Washington's playing behind, they had 200 yards in the second half. Like that just is what it is. Like Cincinnati won the game, but had 7 yards of total offense in the entire second half. Lowest in a win in 25 years. And they won the game, and it destroyed props. It destroyed my smile. All that on Sunday.
All the fantasy unders.
Damn. It was a rough game because that was the most owned game on the slate. So, any kind of thing can happen. It is the NFL indeed. So, in terms of must plays, pretty self-explanatory. You took mine, so I went with another, but I went with Jaden Daniels. I just think the floor is baked in there. If I'm building with the intention of also putting in who your must play may or may not be, I just think it's easier, and I feel better about building around that quarterback instead of Jordan Love. So it just kind of really organically speaks for itself. The floor is there, the ceiling. I don't think anybody is close to the high as the ceiling that he has as well.
Right.
So yeah, that's my.
Yeah, mine's Josh Jacobs. Kind of alluded to that. He's been amazing through multiple weeks last year, finishing the season strong, and then last week, of course, getting a touchdown. I think he gets 2 touchdowns on Thursday night and screws the whole Green Bay passing it. My fade because of that is Jaden Reed, who is the most expensive, had the lower amount of snap count. Of course, I think he's probably the most explosive and best receiver on their team, but it doesn't really matter if they don't try to get him the ball. And so I'm just going to fade him until I can see the consistency there.
Yeah, and last week he caught the touchdown, but he had 5 targets, 3 for 45. If he doesn't score that touchdown, it's just 3 for 45. That is an absolute bless at that price.
Oh, yeah.
So the floor, there is 0 floor with him. Not only when he was healthy, but now he's also hurt and playing through injury on a short week. I'd rather just spend elsewhere, save the money. I, again, completely on board, lockstep with you. Mine is going to actually be Bill Krosky-Merritt. This is more of a leverage play. Jaden Reed, I don't expect to be too popular, but it's a confident fade in terms of just guys who I know I'm getting 0% of. Bill, he's going to naturally fall into lines. I was trying to figure out my favorite line, and it just kept on like, you got 7,100 left, you got 7,000 left. And it's like, I don't want him, though. I really don't. I think because of that touchdown, that long run, the successful start, a lot of people are going to play him. I expect Washington to play from behind by at least a touchdown for most of this game. He's not necessarily a pass catcher. That's Austin Eckler's role. 2-minute game was all Austin Eckler. So if there's any kind of hurry up stuff, I'd much rather punt to Austin Eckler, who actually outsnapped him 47% to 33%. I just feel much better about going with the vet in this one. So that's why Bill is my favorite.
Completely agree with that. And then my contrarian play is going to be Zach Ertz. And I don't know that he's contrarian. I'm trying to figure out how. RotoWire currently has him at 10%.
Their ownership sucks. I mean, the kickers are combining for 98% ownership right now on Roto. So,
but kicker. Yeah, it's been working.
Yeah,
it's been working.
Dusty taking down, and he took down the opening night. If you guys saw it, he posted his line with the kicker captain, $3 entry, won over $150. So 50x on a kicker captain line is what started out his season. He had a hell of a first week.
Yeah. And then yours?
So mine is actually going to be a little bit, I'm going to just run it back. Last week I said Philly. It burned me, and it was mainly because their best defensive player was kicked out of the game before it started. And also they held Dallas to 20 points, but just didn't get a sack.
Right.
Or any turnovers. They dropped 4 interceptions, no sacks. Just as bad as it could have been for somebody that was a tournament player. But I'm going to run it back. I just think this game is too high of a total. Because of that, I think a lot of people are going to be trying to do the 6 skill players for this game or fit the kickers in. Going with the defense, I think, is a good leverage. And that's why I am saying Green Bay defense is somebody I want to be overweight to.
Perfect. Let's go back and let's build some lines. I know they're still up there. Let's clear them out. And I think I went first last time, so I'm making you're going to go first.
Okay. Well, your lock is my captain. So we're going Josh Jacobs at the C. And then...
Oh, I need the other team. Sorry.
Yeah.
There,
all right, so we're going to go Jaden Daniels up top. We're going to stack him with Debo. Don't feel great, but it just naturally for that line. And then one by one going down, you're going to go with Tucker Kraft next at 54. And then my tournament play Green Bay defense at 48. And then the Green Bay snap count leader at the receiver position, 4,000. Kind of a bargain. You got 300 remainder. Don't feel great, but that was my first look.
Okay. Well, you want to see mine?
Is it the same?
It's not.
A little slightly different?
It's not, because I didn't play Packers defense.
Okay.
I played my contrarian play, who shouldn't be contrarian, in Zach Ertz. And I played Mr. Gay. And that is my line. So we are 2 different. That's it.
Pretty solid.
Yeah. I do have 4 Washington players. I am picking the other side, but I have my favorite 2 pass catchers for them. And mine is natural stats because he's a running back too.
Right. I honestly really wanted to try to find a way to do double tight end because those prices combine for, basically $10,000 or $11,000, and they're just clearly the guys and could be a top 2 or 3 passing option. I thought was reasonable, but it was just really, really hard with it being an expensive captain. That said, I think either are viable for possibly being a mid-price captain.
I was going to ask. I think Josh Jacobs is kind of like, if I want to play 20 lines, I'm probably going to put him at cap like 50% of the time. Like, pretty easily. But after that, it's
probably most of it's
Jaden, and then maybe some mid-price guys, like you're saying. So let's go. How do you want to build the next?
I typically don't like building with the captain of who I think is going to lose, but I want to try to see what we can afford. So,
I mean, you could literally just flip them, and then there's your. I think. Hold on. Let me see. Is that too much? Oh, okay. Okay. How close are you? Oh, okay.
It's all good. So I actually want to try mid captain. So I'm gonna go Zach Ertz at captain and see what we can afford up top, because I feel a little better if I didn't have to just jam Debo in every single time. So yeah, top two, and then let's go with Tucker Kraft.
Okay.
Also, 71 left. That feels pretty good.
I would go high. So, right?
No, exactly. So basically going with either Debo or Terry. Let's in this example go Terry. And then that's enough for any kicker or defense that you want. That's probably another really solid look to me.
Yeah. I think this is a very easy slate to get a bunch of stuff, and kind of have a lot of stuff going on where you're not going to have very many dupes, in my opinion. I feel like
I think the ownership in the flex is going to be very spread out.
Yeah.
Compared to like last night, Justin Jefferson being 80% owned, and I hated the matchup, and I was underweight to him because of it. I was right. Even though he caught the touchdown, only 12 points was an absolute bust at the price point. It just happened to be his quarterback had 3 touchdowns in the final quarter, and that really kind of busted it. But
is there a skill player, not tight end, that you want to get in this range? Is the real question I can. Because Terry, Debo are not playing these two, so I'm not against Eckler as a option. Matthew Golden,
and you're talking captain wise.
Yeah,
let's try Debo.
Okay, I enjoy Debo. He's on my fantasy team.
All right, so yeah, that's basically kind of what it's going to be, and then you figure out your final couple. So in my thought of going, a defense, you also are able to get,
what's the opposite defense though against your captain? That's the only problem with it.
It would have worked last night.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think Dobbs is probably a guy that gets thrown into lines a lot, and then you can go both tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's literally where it comes out to.
That's cool.
I don't know. It is a tough slate to build, but it's because there's so many ways to do it.
Who's your favorite cheap guy? If you had to pick somebody under like 3K, is there somebody that you just feel okay? So like head over heels, him over everybody else.
I think it's Jalen Lane, and then I guess Savion. Yeah, because I don't think he had a ton of snap count, but he at least got
Savion hardly played 3 snaps.
He got a target in the red zone on those 3 snaps. It's like, I don't know.
I want to look at
I guess you could say Chris Brooks because you got 9 snaps. I don't know. It's nothing down here was very comfortable. What?
Yeah, I mean, even Emmanuel Wilson, who I guess Roto has projected as the highest value of like
got 2 snaps
below. Low snaps. They haven't projected for 3.5, which is okay for 2,000.
Luke Musgrave?
But Musgrave, what was his snaps?
24. 49%. So he narrowed in L12 personnel, basically. I mean, he caught a pass, I know, right?
Yeah.
So 1 for 4 yards. Like, I don't know. I thought Jalen Lane makes the most sense to me down here because at least he played, what was it, 33% or something like that. So you're getting some value on that. And
let's go on the theory of Chris Moore, the guy that we didn't know caught a 34-yard reception against the Giants, did play a sneaky 27%, and he's only $800, right? Mm-hmm. So let's put him in, and I want to see if we could do a look with like a double quarterback with Josh Jacobs. Is that even legal?
Can we do one of them as the captain?
Yes, absolutely.
That guy?
Yeah.
That guy?
61?
Yeah, I think that's pretty doable.
So
tight end?
The problem is that that's going to have you go to Eckler.
I mean,
and you're going to have a somewhat unstacked. You'll have Chris Moore.
I mean, if I go to Debo, what do I have left? Not enough.
37.
That's gross.
I mean, yeah, if you did that, you might have to go to a Terry or a Debo captain. Or you go to Eckler and then you go to Kraft.
Yeah. I mean, I want to play Eckler, so I'm not against it.
No, I'm down. I think if we typically do 3 max for Thursday showdowns, I think you will be overweight to Austin Eckler with 32%.
With one on, yeah. I think so. Okay, cool. Well, what do you think? Do we need any more?
No, I think that's pretty much covers it. I mean,
it's a good slate. But we won a lot of money on rest slates in the past, you know?
Right. So I just think that it's tough to have confidence in.
I have an idea.
Many of the time. Okay. What are you trying to do?
We are going to say that this game is actually gross. Okay. We're going to go there, pick a kicker.
Let's go.
Okay. It might end up being double.
Sure.
We're going to go Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
For sure. I think you have to go Jaden either way, no matter who it is. Let's
Eckler Terry.
Either that or we can go Jordan Love. And just get,
you said
the floor. Get the floor.
Nah. There is no. I really don't think there's really much of a floor because if you're saying, say, Grimace, I know you have them score 4 touchdowns. Say they score 3, Josh Jacobs runs 2 of them in.
Yeah.
He has 1 touchdown, no rushing upside. That's about 12 fantasy points.
Yeah.
I don't think that really is the floor that you'd hope for as a quarterback.
I think the problem is I don't want to play too many Washington players against. Like if I went Eckler Terry, like I'm playing 3 Washington players versus a defensive captain. So,
but in an ugly game, like an 18-point kicker, or 18-point kicker, 18-point quarterback can still get you there. Terry, he could be the floor 12-point, but it's okay. It works. It's like the ask. Yeah, if you want a golden.
Yeah, because he's.
I still think we can go with Eckler too.
Yeah. I think because he doesn't have to score to get his floor.
Yeah. Like last week, I think he had 8.6.
No, he had 12.
No.
I don't remember off the top of my head
that much. Yeah.
8.7. It's on the board.
8.7.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, so I think you can get him and have his floor at 6,800 without scoring a touchdown.
Exactly.
Because of the receiver.
Yeah, and I'm not afraid of a 3-3 build against the defense.
Okay.
I'm really not.
Cool. All right, well then let's go to prize picks and we'll do our
props of the night.
I'll let you go first.
So far we are both 1-1. We both cashed out Thursday night last week. And then on the Brazil special, I went with Omari and Hampton before the rushing attempts came out. I did mention on the video that I did like that more, but it's okay. I went with the rushing yards. It was 48.5, and he had 48.
Yeah.
So very much of a bummer. And then I forgot what yours was.
It was LaMcConkey over 15, and he got 13.4.
Yeah,
he needed
it because Quentin Johnson had 2 touchdowns. Keenan Allen had a touchdown.
Everybody else went off, and not Lad
or Omari.
Yeah.
So whole thing. But this week, I'm gonna go with one that actually went down a yard before we even started shooting. But Tucker Kraft 34.5. I just think it's pretty low for somebody going 100% of the snaps. Positive game script. Or as long as it's not a 27-6 game in the fourth quarter, I think he's viable. He caught an early touchdown in the game to blow the door open. And I really kind of am starting. I'm a little late to the party, but starting to get on board with the fact that he could be a breakout tight end this year as a top 10 fantasy asset. So 34 rather seems too low.
Sure. And mine's going to be Jalen Lane at 4.5 receiving yards. That's 1 catch. Jalen Lane was a big performer in the preseason on their special teams. Got some opportunities. He actually played 30% of the snaps. He had 1 catch for 11 yards last game. But I think he probably ends up usurping Noah Brown for snap count. And so I think the snap count actually goes up, which would make him a guy that is probably too low at this point. Noah Brown at 23.5 receiving yards on the other side, I don't feel very comfortable with, but Jalen Lane at 4.5, I feel pretty good.
Yeah, and also like it took a while for them to put out fantasy scores. So if you are a believer in just having the output, I don't really know how it's going to work out, but just worth noting. I just want to mention going back to the receivers for Green Bay. Romeo Dobbs has a higher over/under PPR fantasy score than Matthew Golden, who is $2,400 more expensive. Wow. So just putting that out there. But also, I just also want to point out while you're doing prize picks and you're clicking in, They are running back their free square opportunity in week 2. This time it is Travis Kelce. So 0.5, I feel comfortable about the over despite his age. And on top of that, Xavier Worthy's banged up. So yard, I think that pretty much is a lock. So be sure to get that in. Prize picks, I don't know if they'll, I'm sorry, underdog, I don't know if they're going to be putting out a free square, but I know they keep on putting out profit boosts. So continue to do that. Build your lines this week. Maybe we'll see a little bit more that stand out as they put out fantasy scores, receptions, and targets and attempts and all that fun
stuff. And if you're not in our Discord, go check out our Discord because we put out plays of the week for college football.
Yep.
This week was the first week that I got one wrong. Sad day. I picked the wrong receiver again in a 3-man receiver group for Baylor.
Damn Story Robinson.
I swear. He hit 400 passing yards, and somehow 40 of them didn't go to one.
Well, we both had more receiving yards than our pick.
Well, at halftime, yeah.
And then he had a early 20-yard reception that just not get targeted one again.
Yeah.
In a double overtime game.
Yeah, so he actually ended up as the 4th highest receiving yard receiver on the team, but all the other receivers had 150 yards. So he just didn't get targeted when it mattered. And the week before, he had 138. So what do you got to do? Happens. But, yeah. But we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. That was our breakdown on the Washington Green Bay game. That game is going to be interesting and fun to watch, but I don't know, like fantasy-wise, check out our Discord because we'll be posting our final lineups, but we will have some better feels probably at that point than we do right now.
Yeah, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. We had it was a fun first week breakdown, had some bad luck go our way in terms of some showdowns. Xavier Worthy getting knocked out by his own guy. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just excited football is back, both college football and NFL. It was as good of a watch for a full weekend perspective. For both the openers, college football is continuing to go strong. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to be constantly putting out more and more content, weekly recaps every week, weekly showdowns, mains. We're going to get into that also this Friday if you guys want to check that out. And then Sunday morning live streams. Who knows? We're basically almost on a countdown for Mr. Emory to be taking a sabbatical for a little bit.
I will be. Yeah.
But that doesn't matter. We're still going to be pumping out some content. So we hope that you guys join us, and we will see you guys on the next one.
Yeah, we appreciate you hanging out with us, and see you then.